Hey, good morning. It is time for Soaring Solo with Stacy. We're going to talk about instilling social skills in your kids. Now, if you don't know what Soaring Solo with Stacy is, we are a community of single mothers who are flying above society's expectations in order to rise above our circumstances and set an example for our children. So if you are a single mama, welcome. If you're not a single mama, share this with somebody who is. I'm hoping that this helps. I feel like single mamas need that support. But glad you're here. Hope you're enjoying your holiday weekend. I hope everything is going well for you. Let's talk about social skills. So we've been talking about instilling different things in our kids, and we've talked about, instilling manners, and we're going to talk another week about instilling values. But right now I want to talk about social skills. And this is a great weekend to do it because it is a holiday weekend, and hopefully you're doing something fun with your kids and you're going out and about. Do they know how to behave in public? Let's just be raw for a second. There's a lot of adults that could use some help with their social skills, right? This does not come naturally to everyone. And so I don't think we need to pretend like it does. Let's talk about some things that we need to learn, some things that we need to teach our children, and some things that we can do to practice to help them. All right, to have better social skills. Why are social skills important? Well, it's going to help their future. Let's think about this. It's going to help them make friends, be a better friend. It's going to help them find a job and keep a job and become a productive member of society. And I don't know about you guys, but one of my main goals is I want my child to grow up to be a productive member of society. I don't want him mooching off of everyone and everybody, you know what I mean, for the rest of his life. I want him to be able to take care of himself. I want him to be able to take care of himself to the point that he helps others take care of themselves, right? Contributes something to our society. That's one of my family goals. So in order to do that, you do need some decent social skills, right? So let's talk about what some of those social skills might look like. And again, these apply to everyone, including adults, maybe at a different level, but they do apply to everyone. So maybe you need to work some social skills out. How about sharing? Let's start with that. So when kids are toddlers, when they're little, what do we teach them how to share, right? Why is this important? Because you know what? The world doesn't revolve around us. And if there is one thing that we all need to learn is you are not the center of your universe. It feels like you are. Most of the time we treat things as though we are, but we are not. There are other people, and every single decision that you make or your child makes affects someone else somehow. And we've got to stop thinking so selfishly. And we have to teach our kids, because it's natural to be selfish, right? We have to teach our children that the world involves a whole lot of people. It's not just about you, sugar. Okay? If that is one thing I could wish everyone could get across. And I have to remind myself, it's not just about me. Okay? If things aren't going my way, guess what? That's life. Maybe if things were going my way, it might hurt someone else, right? So we have to think about that. Sharing is the crux of that. So when our kids are little, what do? We teach them how to share their toys. It does not come naturally. Anybody who's ever had a toddler knows that that toy is mine. What mine is one of the first words along with no that they repeat regularly. We have to teach them why it's okay to share. We have to get that understanding young. But even as they grow up into adulthood, it's important to know how to share and share well. Cooperating is another social skill that I think we need to implement in our kids. You have to be able to cooperate with other people. You're not always going to get along with everybody. There are going to be people with personality differences. There are going to be people that you just don't agree with. And I'll tell you what, if there is one thing we adults are struggling with right now, it is cooperating and getting along with people we don't agree with. We've got to change that. And it starts with dealing with our kids, ourselves first, and then our kids second. You have to learn cooperation. They're going to get into upper elementary, middle school, and they're going to start doing projects where they have to do group projects. And I don't know about you guys, but when I was a kid, those were the worst. Teachers, I'm just telling you, it's cruel. Okay, to make your students do a group project, because this is what happens. You have a group of 4 kids-ish in these projects. And I know how it went for me. maybe you can relate to this, but you had one person that did all the work, and you had one person that didn't do anything, and then you had a couple of other people that might do a little bit, but they didn't contribute what you wanted them to do, and you've always got the perfectionist in the group that has to have everything perfect, and the other people that want to slap it together. It's cruel, but it's part of learning how to cooperate and how to work together. And it's super important. I mean, sports alone teaches you that, right? Cooperating is a key social skill. Listening. Lord have mercy, I still need work on this, okay? But listening skills are so important. Do you struggle with this too, or is it just me? Like, I have a tendency, I even noticed it this morning. We went to breakfast with some friends, and I love them. I miss them. They're here from Florida visiting, and it was so good to see them. But my mind starts to wander, and then I start to daydream, and then I'm like, whoa, I wasn't even paying attention. It's just a lack of discipline, but it's really hard. Listening skills are important. Instead of thinking about what you're going to say next, maybe you need to be thinking about what that person is actually telling you, right? It's a hard skill to learn, but it's one we need to start teaching our kids while they're young. Following directions. Okay, so I worked in a school for about 4 years, and I did reading intervention. And one of the first things I did one year was I gave my students a paper that had a list of like 12 instructions, and I said, okay, just read it and do what it says. No, I'm not going to give you any prompting. I just want you to read it and do what it says. And I think one out of my 60 some students that I had throughout the day actually did it correctly. So basically what this was is a list of like 16 different directions. But the very first direction said, read all the directions first before beginning. Something to that effect. And then you go through these directions, and it'll say, flip the paper over and draw a circle, write your name on the top right hand corner, to give you all these little things. And then when you got to the bottom direction, it said ignore all of the other directions and only do number one. Don't do anything, or something like that. So basically no one listens. They jump ahead and they just start doing what it says because we're trying to save time, right? We're so busy. Learn to follow directions. Super important. It's going to save you a lot of headache and a lot of time in the long run if you do that. Learning about personal space. Everybody remembers Seinfeld and the close talker, right? I'm a very social person, and I'm a huggy person, and I'm a touchy-feely person, and that's who I am. But there is a point where you go, okay, I don't need to get this close to you to talk, right? Coffee breath. It's never good. Learn appropriate personal space. Teach your kids appropriate personal space. Eye contact. We talked about this with manners last week. When you talk to people, look them in the eye. At least in our culture, that is expected. It's a sign of respect. Shows that you're paying attention and you're listening, and it's easier to listen when you're making eye contact, right? So these are just a few social skills that I really highly recommend you sit back and you go, okay, have I taught my kids these? Do we need to work on these? Is this something that I need to kind of put a little focus on maybe for myself? Because how do we implement them? Well, like everything else we've talked about, the first how is setting the example. So are you using these social skills, developing these social skills so that your kids can see you using them and they're developing them? So are you setting that example? Have them practice. Like, it's okay to play make-believe and use those social skills. Again, you want to be age appropriate, but especially if you have little ones, I feel like I have a hair right there. Can you tell? Sorry. Especially if little ones, have a tea party with the stuffies and teach them the social skills as you play. There's nothing wrong with that. Playtime is a great time to learn. And be social yourself. Y'all, we spent a year in our houses. It's time to go out and have some fun. Okay. I don't know about you, but it felt so good. I went last night with my mom and dad, and we saw a whole bunch of friends downtown. We had First Fridays in downtown Adrian, and it was super fun. We saw an amazing band. It was incredible. And I ran into all sorts of people that I know, and there was a whole bunch of people there that I found out later were there that I didn't even see, which kind of bummed me out. I should have hung around longer or whatever. But go out and be social and practice. Take your kids with you. Let them practice being social with other people. It's super important for their future. So I hope this helps a little. We are going to talk more about being socially skilled in our private group. So if you are in my Soaring Solo with Stacy private Facebook group, look for that this week. And if you would like to be a part of that, if you are a single mother, I would love to add you to that. Just shoot me a message, drop a comment below. Share this with someone you think that would benefit from it. I would love to get that discussion going. We learn from each other. That's the key. But in the meantime, just remember, you may be soaring solo, but you are not tackling motherhood alone. You guys have a great 4th of July weekend. Bye.